All right, everybody. We are back here for an episode of Unpacking the Backpack. It's actually a rarity for me. I'm actually home for like 2 days this week. And it's odd. I usually try to record on the weekends, sometimes on the road. But we'll see how this goes. So there could be Amazon coming, dogs barking. And if you listen, or if you're an avid listener to this podcast, you know that I don't edit. I just make this raw. I think that just is kind of like how conversations and presenting are. We don't fix our mistakes then, so why fix them in a podcast? And, today, I kind of want to talk about, ways that we can boost morale. And I will share it kind of from a leadership perspective. But if you are a teacher listening, you can easily tweak the 5 strategies that I'm going to discuss today. And, in my mind, it's not rocket science. It's just looking at, the little shifts or the little efforts that we can put in that can have a big impact. And, when we think about morale can best be defined as the confidence, enthusiasm, and discipline of a person or a group at a particular time. Thriving cultures that produce results make every effort to keep this on the positive side. However, this is easier said than done. While the pandemic and challenges right now that are facing education has undoubtedly played a monumental role in decreasing morale, other factors continuously play a role, such as dum dum dum, leadership, mandates, lack of time, systems that are in place that just don't make sense, a toxic culture, inadequate pay, or trying to maintain a work life balance. By the way, if anyone figures out that work life balance secret, please ping me. I could really use some insight on that. No matter the cause, it's up to the leader and their team to constantly be proactive to combat low morale. So let's dive into some suggestions that you can use immediately and long term. Many of these actually are research based. I'll put a blog post in the show notes so that you can see the research that's aligned. So if I say, hey, the research says, trust me, it will be in the show notes. So let's do a quick hit list of 5 strategies to boost morale, and then we will dive in. Number 1, give positive feedback. 2, ask about staff or student feelings. 3, provide autonomy. 4, grant the right rewards. And 5, celebrate publicly. All right, let's dive into number 1, feedback. We want to pile on positive feedback when we determine that morale might be decreasing or on the negative side. Sometimes there is never enough of a good thing when it comes to building up culture. Research has shown that feedback is vital in establishing good relations, as it can enhance relationships, strengthen loyalty and commitment, and increase morale. When it comes to feedback, you got to make sure it's timely, specific, practical, facilitated in a positive manner, and is a dialogue as opposed to a monologue. Actively look for opportunities to provide feedback through diverse means such as phone calls, paper notes, technology, and face to face conversations. We got to be weary of email because things can be taken out of context. And in my opinion, email is the biggest productivity sap in the world. But, when morale is low, yes, we want to be more on the positive side. But to really facilitate effective feedback conversations, consider this, try this, think about this. And if you do say, great job, awesome work, be sure to elaborate the why behind that. Don't just say, great job, you're doing well. Really add some context to it so the feedback has value. So number 2, actively inquire about how people are feeling. While this might seem like a no-brainer, It is not as easy at times to know how people really feel unless diligent efforts are made to find out. Listening is one of the best tools that can be leveraged to gather crucial information on the pulse of a culture. Creating a roundtable for staff to share what is on their mind is another solid option, but digital forms that allow anonymous responses could very well be the best route. Now, I had a principal's council when I was a leader, and that was an opportunity for staff to come and share concerns about culture, about achievement, about student behavior, even about leadership. And we made sure it was an event session. We kind of employed John Gordon's no complaining rule. If you're not familiar with it, here it is. Number one, don't complain. Number two, if you do complain, have two solutions for your complaint. So, we wanted to make it clear that we want to know how people were feeling, that we were empathetic, that we were listening. And we also wanted to create not just safe spaces to have those outlets, but we wanted to make sure it was productive discourse. Number three, provide autonomy. Micromanaging never ends well. Using there was a study that focused on self-determination theory, and it involved 735 workers, and it was conducted to examine autonomy's impact on overall morale. The results revealed that work motivation was significantly related to both intra-individual, which could be construed as global motivation, and contextual factors such as organizational support and supervisor autonomy support. It was concluded that perceived organizational support and work autonomous motivation was positively related to work satisfaction. Oh my goodness. What does this really mean? Well, if you know about Dan Pink's work and drive, the science of motivation, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Think about how you can do that. What I did as a principal is my teachers wanted time, and I wanted to give them the autonomy to use time that I could free up to do the right work. So we created the professional growth period. Think of it as win time, Google 80/20, Genius Hour, all combined in one. And what I did was I cut all of their non-instructional duties in half, freeing up every single teacher 2 to 3 55-minute periods per week to learn, to follow their passions. The only catch was they had to create a portfolio that demonstrated how they used this time to improve professional practice. And we actually linked that to standard 5 in our evaluation tool, which was professional growth. No one ever went backwards. The PGP, professional growth period, helped people move from partially proficient to accomplished to distinguished. This was our way to grant unconventional autonomy to staff. And that's where a lot of our innovative practices flourished, because we provided the time and the autonomy, and we did not micromanage. All right, number 4, gift appropriate rewards. The key word is appropriate. While I'm a massive proponent of intrinsic means to improve motivation, that does not mean we cannot leverage extrinsic factors as a means to boost morale. Examples include release time, professional learning opportunities off-site, a premium parking spot, tickets to school events, books. I know someone's written a few good ones. And school supplies. I loved covering classes for teachers so that they could go watch colleagues, or even if they're having a bad day, let me cover your class. Let me take that load off. And, so as we think about this, if you really want to boost morale, another thing is try eliminating as many after-school meetings as possible. No one really likes meetings that are pointless or condense the time. The bottom line is that people want to be recognized, but morale will be most positively impacted by using authentic rewards that your staff value and don't see as disingenuous. That's important connection to what the research has said. We want to value people, value their efforts, but we just don't want to pile on the carrots and sticks the if-then rewards. All right. And finally, as we look at number 5, celebrate publicly. It's hard to argue the fact that people want to have some semblance of fun and feel appreciated. A study using a large email survey of managers found overwhelming support for having fun in the workplace. Respondents reported that having a fun work environment will increase the level of enthusiasm, satisfaction, creativity, communications among staff, and enhanced feelings of group cohesiveness. Some schools have large-scale team building events, both on and off site. If you go this route, elicit feedback from staff on what options they think will be best. You can also share stories across social media as a way to share successes more broadly. And that's something I talk about in digital leadership. One thing that I did was the principals report, which was a monthly report that was sort of like a brag sheet. And I had this template, and I shared with my teachers and said, basically, share, aka brag, about all the amazing things that you're doing. And not just what you're doing, but what students are doing and how you're impacting that. So our categories included field trips, staff innovations, student achievement, looking at athletics, the arts, what we were doing with our facilities, guidance, miscellaneous, where I couldn't figure out what category to put it in, so I put it in miscellaneous. The bottom line was, I would have anywhere from 6 to 20 pages of pure awesomeness. And then I did my job to celebrate that publicly. Double proofed it, created a PDF, put it on the website. Then I shared it through an email blast to all my community, pushed it out through the school app, and then shared across 7 different social media channels. So we want to celebrate everyone publicly. Thinking about, I also did a breakfast at the holidays. I would cater in a breakfast for my staff. And I had a long drive. I probably should have cooked, but I had a really long drive in. And they looked forward to that. And it was just a great opportunity to say thank you. So as we think about the 5 ways to boost morale, give positive feedback, ask about staff feelings, provide autonomy, grant the right awards, and celebrate publicly. School district accomplishments together, but also how you can tell stories and amplify all the great work that's happening. So as we think about morale, sustaining and improving outcomes relies on good morale. It also plays a pivotal role in retaining our most precious people, those who commit themselves to serve kids. If you're listening to this podcast right now, we know that education, especially here in the United States, it's not the easiest profession to be in right now. And we have to really think about the factors that are impacting people, for right or wrong. And it's the job of a leader to create a system that values people, that values time, that they want to be a part of. And that's what I really want you to take away from this, is what are those actions that you can do to create that sense of value, enthusiasm, belief in them. And if you're a teacher, think about the kids that come in. The kids that might not have the best home environment. And think about what you can do to build their morale through engaging lessons, through creating personalized experiences. So again, we know the work is hard. We know it's not easy. And for all of you up there, listening as leaders, you might have a challenge with your own morale. And all I can suggest is, I can only suggest opinions. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But don't be afraid to say, I don't know, I need help. Or to take a step back. It's okay to put the computer away for the weekend. It's okay to, if this is what you want to do, to go have an adult beverage or a walk. It's okay to take a break, but it's also okay to reach out to a trusted colleague or friend and just to talk things out. Because the whole idea of talking things out is to get back to why we do the work, why we went into education. And our why revolves around those who we serve, our students. If you want to read more about some of these morale strategies, be sure to check out Digital Leadership, second edition, which you can get on Amazon. Also, I'll put a link to the research and a blog post in the notes, show notes, as I always do. And as always, everybody, you know what? Thanks for making a difference. Till next time, this is Eric Scheninger signing off on Unpacking the Backpack.